Hi, and welcome to Successfully Black. I'm your host, Racquel, and I'm also the interviewee. So welcome to this episode with me. First, I just want to say thank you to every single person that has been watching every single episode in season 1. It has been absolutely amazing. So thank you so much. So this episode is me introducing myself to you so you can get to know a little bit about me. We have had the honor of having Claudine Reed, MBE, on our platform, Rodney Hines, CEO, co-founder of the Football Blacklist, and Gigi, who is a upcoming rising beauty model, photographer, and fashion consultant. It has been an awesome season 1, and I hope you've enjoyed it just as much as I have. So let's get started. So I want to start with just letting you know about the birth of Successfully Black and why this platform is here, why it's here and why now. You remember the Black Lives Matter movement. It was worldwide, protests happening as a result of the unfortunate incident with George Floyd, who was killed at the hands of law enforcement. It was such a testing time emotionally, mentally and physically, more so for some than others. And I really felt that moment as a Black person in the UK. This is not the first time that I've seen one of my brothers and sisters fall at the hands of law enforcement or at the hands of anybody else for that matter. So during that time, it was just such a hard time. And I had to come off of social media for myself, and I think I took a week to just disassociate myself from what was going on. It just got too much. And during that period, I just thought to myself, there's all these shows, especially on Netflix, all of these movies and these TV programs that were coming out or had been already on Netflix that everyone was talking about watching to learn more about the history, the black history, more about the Black culture, African-American history, which is very, very different to the European Black history. It's very, very different. But either way, there are many, many similarities. So in that time, I just thought to myself, there are so many Black people who are successful, and not just successful in the sense of we see their success because their names are on the clothing brands that we wear, or their names are on, items that we buy in our household. No, just successful in their own right. And I thought it was time that we started to shed more light on those success stories. And I thought to myself, why not create a platform where we have these successful Black professionals come on the platform, share their story, talk about their journey, and educate others. And it doesn't mean educate only other Black people, just educate people in general about their success story, how they've done it, what to do, what not to do, just to educate the world on their journey. And that is how Successfully Black was born. I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody who understands why this platform is here. This platform is here to provide you with stories and conversations that address and highlight successes in the Black culture, as opposed to just the movies, the TV programs that show our struggle. That's why this platform is here, because we're not just struggling, we are rising like you would not believe. And I wanted to get that across. And that is why the platform is here. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And on that note, please subscribe if you haven't done already. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you can stay updated on all of our future videos that are coming. So let's look at season 1. Let's have a recap. What have we learned? We have been given so many gems, and let's go back to the first episode with Rodney Hines. So if you haven't seen it, Rodney Hines is the co-founder of the Football Blacklist, which is an award ceremony that celebrates black culture, black people within the football industry, up and coming football stars to watch out for, the ones to watch. It also commemorates footballers who have done amazing things in the football industry, and not only that, but those who are behind the scenes. We probably don't hear their names, but they play an integral part to the football industry. One of the things that really stands out and is in my mind when I think about that interview is when Rodney spoke about two things: having conversations, which is what this platform is about. I have conversations with all of these amazing people. So having conversations, which is what enabled the football blacklist to come about. He had a conversation with Leon, his partner, thinking of and exploring ideas, and this is how the football blacklist came about. Rodney explained that people love lists, and it's true. I love lists all the time. Got my list here of what I'm talking about today. And they said it would be great to have a list of all football players and up and coming football players, rising stars, people to watch, people behind the scenes, to commemorate and celebrate those individuals. That was the seed, and today they have had the football blacklist, which continues to be a success. Rodney also spoke about his core group. Having a core group is integral, it's important. Who you keep close to you, who you have conversations with, the types of conversations that you have is what forms your journey, what enables your vision to come to life, to help you make your vision a success. So if you haven't seen that, I urge you to listen to that interview. Not only that, there was Claudine Reed, MBE. We had an awesome conversation about going from teaching to being married to then owning a business, which she still owns, being so successful with that, and the steps that she took and how she navigates and how she operates when dealing with the highs and the lows. We also explore paying yourself first. And I really do believe that for anybody who is thinking about starting a business or already has a business and you don't know when to start paying yourself, or perhaps you just can't find the information that really answers the question for you, that interview is a must-see, must-watch. And then lastly, to end season 1, it was the wonderful Gigi, who is a beauty model. She is a photographer, and she's also a fashion consultant. And we spoke about body confidence. We spoke about the industry. We spoke about social media. We spoke about not allowing what society and what the media says is okay when it comes to youth to deter anybody from following their dreams if modeling is something they want to do. And I felt that that was really rich, because as Gigi said, we are fixated on youth. Society and social media should not deter anybody from following through with their dreams. So if you're somebody that is studying, you're working, plus you're trying to model, be a photographer, musician, or anything for that matter, you can do it. It's all about your planning, your preparation, and your execution. All 3 interviews have really made season 1 something to remember. So make sure you do go and check that out. So I'm Racquel. I am beautiful. I am successful. By trade, I'm a personal trainer. I have been in the fitness industry for more than 7 years. I work in a health club in the city, in a luxury health club. I'm a manager in a health club. I deal with all of the front of house of the health club. And with the personal training element, that has now gone to the side because I am focusing on this platform, as well as, studying and just doing other things in my spare time. Now, one of the things that is a big thing for me is not spreading myself too thinly. So there came a time where I had to really think about what it was that I wanted to do. And with thinking about that, I had to make that choice as to what I was willing to let go in order for something else to increase and for me to be able to do better and to succeed in that. But let's backtrack. Let's go back to the beginning. So I started my professional career working for the government. I worked for DEFRA, which is the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. I worked for the government for 3 or 4 years. I worked in the Animal Health and Welfare Division. And when I started in that division, I came in as an admin assistant, full of gusto and full of beans, and, you know, already knew that the moment I started on day one that I was not going to be here for long. The goal was to climb and climb and climb. I'm a go-getter. That's the kind of person I am. I always seek and look for better, and I'm always climbing that ladder, you know. Back then, I was someone who got bored really easily. You know, I couldn't stay in one place for too long. Boredom would seep in and I had to move. So I was an admin assistant, and my manager, who was, it was all acronyms. It was AA, which was admin assistant, AO, admin officer, EO, executive officer, HEO, higher executive officer, SEO, scientific executive officer, and so on. And then you had your grade 7s, your grade 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I believe a grade 1 is an MP. I was started in DEFRA as an AA. I was an admin assistant, and like I said, full of beans. And mind you, I was a college dropout. I didn't stay in college. I did a year in media, and then I left that college, got bored, as I said, got bored, went to another college and did performing arts, got bored, because growing up, I wanted to be a star, you know? I wanted to be on the stage. I wanted to sing, I wanted to act, I wanted to dance. So when I did performing arts, learning about the lighting and you know, the stage, theatre, that wasn't what I wanted to do. But look at me now. I mean, I've got lights, camera. I guess it served its purpose. My manager, who was an EO, executive officer, I remember having a conversation with her and I said, you know, I want to excel. I want to be an AO. What does that look like? You know, how long would it take for me to get there? And she said, you know, Racquel, yes, you know, it's something that you can do, but it's going to take you about a year or so before you can get there. Automatically, I was just like, no way. Am I going to stay in this role for a year or more before going to the next? Long story short, in about somewhere between 6 to 8 months, I was promoted to AO. And then I moved divisions and I went into the climate change and global warming division. So I moved over, and that was a great division. Very sciencey and very climate changey. You know, it was just a whole new world. At this point, I was about 20 years old. I had never paid any attention to climate change and global warming at this point. It was not even something, ozone layer was not something I cared about until I got in that division. And it was just a complete change. So I was in that division for probably about a year, or maybe longer, probably about a year and a half. And again, the same Racquel, driven, you know, wanted to excel, wanted to go to that EO role. You know, I wanted to be a manager. I wanted to be an executive officer. That was the goal. Now, that team I worked for, they were a great team. Really, really liked that team. The grade 7, who was the head of the branch. So we had branches and then we had divisions. So he was the head of the branch and he was absolutely lovely. And I remember, you know, we did outings and he had a vineyard and we went to his house and the vineyard. It was very, very nice. And again, at this young age, I've never been to a vineyard before. So I eventually got my promotion. And after about a year and a half, I was promoted to EO. I was absolutely just blown away, so happy. I got what I set out to do. However, it wasn't all roses. And what I mean when I say that is not so much the journey to get there, because my moment in the climate change and global warming division was great. You know, yes, I was young, and yes, I was a college dropout, and yes, I was, you know, striving and driving to do my best and be the best and excel. And, you know, I was a very people's person in the office. I'd talk to everybody and get on with everybody. And I'd even go out as well for drinks and stuff, which I can't really say I do now too much. But it was a great experience. But then when I went to a new division and I worked in Millbank, which some of you may know that Millbank is where, you know, Houses of Parliament are. So the offices were opposite Houses of Parliament. And I worked for a minister of the House of Lords, and I was the executive officer. And it was a very small office. It was a very intimate office. So there was only 4 of us, and then the office was off of ours, was the minister's office of the House of Lords. And my whole happiness at that point dropped. And I tell you why in a nutshell. I was the only black person in the office. I was young. I did not have a degree. I got there through hard work. There was this vibe, the energy that I came from in the bigger division, working in climate change and global warming, to then going into this minister's office. It really changed and it really affected me. I stayed in that role for less than a year, or maybe it was just a year. And I left. I left because I wasn't happy. And I want to really stress about happiness in the workplace. Work satisfaction, I truly believe work satisfaction is underrated. I truly believe that work satisfaction, job satisfaction is underrated. People chase the paycheck and they leave the satisfaction of the job lower down the list. For me, it doesn't work that way. It got to a point, now remember, at this point, like I said, I'm hardworking. I have grafted. I have done everything I need to do to get my promotion. I'd been in the company at this point for, like I said, about 3 years and had been promoted twice. At 19 going up. Now that's pretty quick. So to get to that point where, and for me, I saw myself in government, you know, I saw myself saying, you know, I'm going to be head of the division. That's my goal. I'm going to be a grade 6 where I can just be head of division, or grade 7 where I can be head of the branch and stop there. Now at this point, like I said, I'm you know, 19 or 20, or maybe even 21, I'm earning about 25 or 26K. That's good. I bought my first home on my own. I bought my first car. Life was good. You work hard and you reap the rewards. Nothing comes easy. But at that point, I knew that I wasn't happy, and no amount of money was going to keep me in a place that I knew I couldn't grow, and I had to leave. Now, before I actually left, I actually contacted my previous role and I just said, look, I'm not happy. Can I come back? And I couldn't go back. Now, here's the thing. And even till now, I'm just like, what? Here's the thing. I wanted to go back to that role. And remember, that role was an AO. It was an admin officer role. They advertised the role. They couldn't find someone suitable for the role. They then had to change the role, and the role then became an EO role. It became the role that I'd left to then go into working for a minister. I was gutted because they said to me, the reason that the role advanced was because of me. I had advanced the role. Everything that I took on over those, you know, between that year to 2 years that I was in that role, I advanced the role. I took on more. I did more. In your role, in your place of work, if you've been somewhere for a year, 2 years, or longer, and you have developed that role, it's important that you go back and you check that job description when you joined or when you started that role. And then you look at what you are doing now. If what you are doing now does not match what the job description said when you applied for the role, you have upscaled that job. You know, they're not going to come and say to you, look, you have really advanced this role. So for that reason, we're now going to give you a new title of manager, or, you know, something a little bit more senior. They're not going to say, oh my gosh, because you've advanced the role so much, we're going to give you an extra 2-3 grand in your annual salary. No, they're going to leave you there to do that role. It's your job and your responsibility. And I know you know, you might be hearing this thinking, no, it's their job. No, it's your job to highlight the advancements that you have made to the role. You're taking on more responsibilities, more tasks. The job is advanced. You're getting busier. You're doing more, but your pay is the same. You need to have that conversation. You need to recognize that, and you need to present that and say, look, this is my worth. I'm great at what I do. You know, I do this job better than well. I excel in this job. You know, if you was to advertise this role with me leaving, the role would be extremely different. But for that reason, you know, that advancement needs to be compensated. When I think back at that point, I was young, you know, I had no idea. I mean, that wasn't my thought process then, but it was the learning after it. And I don't regret, because seeing that for me was just amazing to know that little old Racquel in the government, you know, come in. I'm working in animal health and welfare division, you know, not long after the whole FMD, you know, the foot and mouth disease drama. Then I go into climate change and global warming, and, you know, we're talking about CO2 emissions and your carbon footprint and all of this stuff that was not passa for me. It was not conversations that I was having. And to know that I came in, I stepped out, and I stepped up, to the point that when I left a hole, you know, in that department, in that branch. That was amazing. So let's continue with my story. So I've gone to EO. I'm working for a minister, and look, it was cool. I mean, I was going to the House of Lords, and, you know, I was traveling with the minister as well when he'd go to meetings. But the unhappiness in the role and the inability to grow because of my unhappiness affected my performance. It became difficult, because then I had to have those conversations with my line manager about lateness, about, you know, my productivity. It had dropped, and it had dropped because I was unhappy. You know, my alarm would go off in the morning, and I'd open my eyes dreading to go to work. That is a horrible feeling. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I really and truly believe that anybody who feels that way about their work, you should not be there. If you cannot fix it in the workplace, if you cannot improve it through a conversation, through making changes, then you need to make the change. And for me, that change was leaving. I left. I handed in my notice and I left. I had no job to go to. You know, I'd not long bought a house, so I had a mortgage to pay for. I had a car to pay for. I had to do it. For my own health, for my own mental health, my own sanity, I needed to do it. And I urge anybody who is in a similar position right now, who is unhappy, and you've not got that job satisfaction and that job fulfillment, that you really need to think about what's next. And if it's not going to improve in your workplace, then you should go. I know that the fear or the worry, you know, if you've got a mortgage, if you've got a car to pay for, if you've got children, there is that fear of how are you going to pay your bills. I'm a woman of Christ. My faith is high. I have a great support network. My family, my mum. I mean, at that point as well, like I said, I had my home. And then I think around that time, I ended up moving back to my mum's and I rented out my home. So then I had income coming in using my property. So that also helped. And then because, again, I'd left college, I'd gone straight into, professional employment, working for the government. I've been a good girl. I've been very sophisticated and very professional, very organized for the last however many years. So when I left, I went and got myself a part-time job. Those years were growing years for me, and I did so many different things, especially traveling. I love to travel. So that's a little insight into my business journey. I mean, it's not really my business journey, but my career journey at the early stages, and where I am now. Like I say, I'm in fitness, and how that came about, again, is another story for another day perhaps, but I'm in the fitness industry. We've got so many other things that are going to be coming on this platform as well, so it won't just be the conversations that you've been seeing. There will be other elements to the network which will come, so definitely stay tuned for that. So I really want the viewers to think about who you're having conversations with, what kind of conversations you are having, and are those conversations going to help you propel? If the answer is no, then it's time to start thinking about your circle. And again, we go back to Rodney Hines, your core group. It's time to look at your core group. And on the Successfully Black Network, I'd like to think that I'm bringing people who can virtually form part of your core group. So make sure you stay tuned for season 2, which will start very, very soon. Hit that notification bell so you can stay notified and updated on when we release a new video, which is every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I really hope that you've enjoyed this short, intimate video with me. Thank you once again to every single person who continues to watch the Successfully Black show, where we are having riveting, inspiring, and entertaining conversations with professionals all over the world. And if you are someone that would like to feature on the show, if you have a story to tell, please do contact me. The contact details will be below, and I'd be more than happy to hear and share your story. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel and press that notification bell.